On the rundown for today's San Francisco 49ers report by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Sr. Two topics I want to touch on. Brock Purdy just got great news following NFL wildcard weekend, especially when he watched those other quarterback performances. Could go a long way in determining how much money he gets with his looming contract extension. We also have a positive update on the Robert Saleh front, as Robert Saleh has pretty much become a daily talking point at this point for Niner fans everywhere. And let's begin with quarterback Brock Purdy. When you watch the NFL wildcard games over the last few days, I think Brock Purdy comes away from that feeling pretty confident. And in turn, I think Purdy has gotten some good news watching how those other quarterbacks performed in the NFL playoffs. You first take a look at Purdy's playoff resume. This year was his second full season as a starting quarterback after he took over for Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance back in 2022. And already, before the expiration of his rookie contract, Purdy has made it to 2 NFC Championship games as a starter because in 2022, he was the team's starting quarterback at the time, if you get my drift, and he already has a Super Bowl appearance to his name. That Super Bowl appearance coming in a year last year where he was top 5 in MVP voting in his first full season as a starting quarterback. Purdy is now 4-2 in the NFL playoffs, and that second loss, counting the NFC Championship game against the Eagles when he was knocked out early, he shouldn't be credited with that defeat. He's also fared pretty well statistically. 6 passing touchdowns in his playoff career to 1 interception. He has 2 rushing touchdowns as well. That's 8 total touchdowns to 1 pick. Pretty good ratio. His passer rating, not bad. 96.2, and his completion rate should be a little bit higher if you were to ask him at 62.5, but he's also made some really marquee and clutch plays throughout his playoff career. He did it against Seattle. He did it against Dallas. He was able to do it against Green Bay and do it against the Lions. And last year, against the Packers and against the Lions, he helped to lead the Niners to massive second-half comebacks to make that Super Bowl appearance a reality. And when you canvass the landscape of what we saw during the wild card round, there are quarterbacks across the NFL who were deemed stars, who were making $50+ million, and they did not fare well. Justin Herbert has played in 2 playoff games in his entire career. He's 0-2. And against the D'Amico Ryans-led Houston Texans, he was awful. 14-32. 242 yards, a touchdown, 4 picks in that game, and a passer rating of 40.9. He already got paid. Jordan Love, the Packers made him the highest paid quarterback in the history of the league at the time he signed that deal. 20-33 against the Eagles, 212 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks, and a passer rating of 41.5. The Packers had 11 drives against Philadelphia. They scored 10 points. And then Sam Darnold, the former Niner, who some had theorized is better than Brock Purdy, could get paid more than Brock Purdy, completely shit the bed the final 2 weeks. Week 18 had an opportunity to win the NFC North, to lock down the number 1 seed. He was not good. And then against the Rams, neutral site game, the Rams, like the Lions, sent the house at Darnold. They blitzed him a lot. He was seeing ghosts. 25 of 40, 245 yards, a touchdown, a pick, a fumble which was scooped and scored by Jared Verse, and a passer rating of 77.6. He was missing guys left and right. And so when you compare those quarterback performances and the salaries of those players to Brock Purdy, Purdy has fared better. And he's put together a good playoff resume and good playoff numbers. Herbert and Love, they have gotten paid. Darnold trying to get paid. So too is Brock Purdy. And so the 49ers are probably watching the playoffs play out. And I get it. It can be sore loser energy to say, well, Purdy, he's better than all these guys. The Niners are at home. They're not in the playoffs. But you do compare quarterbacks when a quarterback is looking for a contract and when the market is what it is. And so San Francisco is probably watching these playoffs play out and they're saying, well, our quarterback situation compared to other teams isn't so bad, is it? And then you take a look at the most playoff wins among active quarterbacks. Look at where Brock Purdy is coming off his second full season as a starter. 3 years in the league. Of course, Patrick Mahomes leads the way with 15 playoff wins. He's going for 3 straight rings right now. Aaron Rodgers has 12. He's 41 years old. Joe Flacco, he could be a lot of people's grandpas watching this show. He has 10 playoff wins. Russell Wilson, older player, he has 9. But this is where it gets interesting, right? Josh Allen's been to the playoffs a lot. Only has 6 playoff wins, 2 more than Purdy. And then Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matthew Stafford, all with 5. That's 1 more than Brock Purdy. And so this is good news for Purdy, his agent, the Niners, if they want and think that he can be the franchise quarterback for this organization for the foreseeable future, because their quarterback situation, even though Purdy had a down year, not as bad as it could be, and they're pretty confident that they're in good standing here as we project forward. So what say you? Have these other playoff performances from these quarterbacks made you feel better about Brock Purdy? Y for yes and for no. That's today's poll question and our pinned comment. So scroll on down and let your voices be heard. Coming up next here on the show, we got done the Brock Purdy topic. I want to talk next about Robert Saleh. ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano predicting all of the head coaching hirings for the head coaching vacancies across the NFL. Is Saleh going to go to a team in his eyes? We'll talk about that coming up here just around the corner. Today's 49ers Report, sponsored by our friends at Game Time. Unfortunately for all of us, not going to be able to see a Niners playoff game or a Niners home playoff game during the 2024-2025 NFL playoffs. But if you want to go to an NFL playoff game somewhere else, or you want to go to a concert, comedy show, theater event, NHL game, NBA game, college basketball, college football national championship, download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time specializes in the best seats at the lowest price value. It's also awesome how you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. That vantage point and price point, seeing that in the app, a great user experience. And thanks to Game Time Picks, curation makes it easier where you don't have to sort through thousands of tickets. Game Time just gives you the best deals and the best seats. Golden State Warriors tickets available, San Jose Sharks tickets available as well, all within the Game Time app. They have flash deals. They have zone deals. They have the lowest price guaranteed. If you find a lower price elsewhere, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. All right, let's talk about Robert Saleh once again here on the show. Is this a positive Robert Saleh update for the Niners' prospects of hiring him as defensive coordinator? ESPN's Dan Graziano predicted all of the NFL coaching hirings for the open jobs, and there are a few of them. For the Chicago Bears, he thinks Chicago is going to hire Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. I think Chicago needs a culture changer because ownership, it's kind of a joke, and I think that Brian Flores would be able to do that. He actually had a winning record when he was the head coach with the Miami Dolphins. I thought he did some good things there. Dolphins let him go. He didn't get along well with Tua Tagovailoa. If he didn't get along with Tua Tagovailoa, is he going to be able to get along with Caleb Williams, who's a little bit fickle and a little bit sensitive? I'm not sure. I don't know if I like the fit. I like the cultural element of it. But a guy who can come in who's experienced, who's been for marquee organizations a really solid coach as far as wins and losses, who has a Super Bowl championship under his name, who's coached with the Green Bay Packers, iconic organization, the Dallas Cowboys, iconic organization, a coach who has maximized quarterbacks and would be able to do that with Caleb Williams, who's revered and respected in league circles. That's Mike McCarthy, whose contract was not renewed by Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. So my prediction for the Bears, I think Mike McCarthy goes there, not Brian Flores. For the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Graziano selects Kellen Moore, the Eagles offensive coordinator, who played as a backup quarterback with Dallas, was a quarterback's coach with Dallas, and an offensive coordinator with Dallas. And when Moore was in Dallas, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they're aware of this. Kellen Moore is very successful as an offensive play caller. During his 4-year stint as the OC with Dallas, Moore orchestrated a unit that ranked second in the NFL in total offense, scoring offense, touchdowns, third in first downs per game, fourth in passing offense, third down conversion rate, and seventh in rushing offense. He helped Dallas to 3 playoff appearances and 2 NFC East championships while mentoring 9 players to a combined 13 Pro Bowl appearances. I think that's a pretty worthy selection to replace Mike McCarthy. You have familiarity there. You have a young offensive mind. He's done a really good job with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. A fascinating wild card pick would be Deion Sanders, the current head coach for the Colorado Buffaloes. He's done some good stuff in Boulder. Like the Buffs won 9 games in 2024. Shedeur Sanders expected to be a top 5 pick and the number 1 quarterback taken in this year's class. What he did at Jackson State as a head coach was also pretty impressive. Of course, had a legendary playing career. Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, played for the Baltimore Ravens. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the best players in the history of the league. Why would Jerry Jones do this? It would be a huge talking point across all NFL circles. The Cowboys would continue to be at the center of attention. This hiring would provide some pop with Dallas. And I think that Jerry Jones, being the businessman that he is, the oil tycoon, the football tycoon that he is, hates seeing empty seats. With Deion Sanders, a lot of excitement. You wouldn't see a lot of empty seats. So fascinated to see what happens with him. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dan Graziano has Joe Brady taking over for Doug Peterson. He is the current Bills offensive coordinator. He was a pass game coordinator and worked with the offensive staff for that legendary 2019 LSU National Championship squad, which is one of the best college football teams of all time. Joe Burrow that year won the Heisman Trophy. And since he became the Bills offensive coordinator, the Bills offense has taken a leap forward compared to when Ken Dorsey was their OC. More balanced running it, still explosive in the pass game. Josh Allen has been terrific, but this year they trade away Stephon Diggs. James Cook elevates as a running threat, making that offense more balanced, thus more dangerous. They don't have the same receiver talent, but Josh Allen probably going to be number 2 in MVP voting behind Lamar Jackson. And Joe Burrow swears by him. Josh Allen swears by Joe Brady. His time could be coming. And what better option out there to get Trevor Lawrence back on track than Brady potentially, given what he's been able to do with Joe Burrow at LSU and with Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. Graziano on the Jags here because this is important. It includes a bit on Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh linked to this job, believed to have a lot of believers and supporters inside that building. Graziano saying, quote, "A week ago, there was a lot of thinking around the league that this could be the spot for Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson." And of course, it very well still could be. But the Jags' decision to move on from Doug Peterson and keep general manager Trent Baalke has raised some red flags for potential head coaching candidates who are hoping to start with a fully clean slate. And it means that Johnson could be looking at other situations where he and a new general manager could come in together. A sleeper here could be Robert Saleh, whose interview with the team will happen on Tuesday. So it's already happened today. The Jags put out a tweet saying it's already been completed. Saleh, who was fired as the Jets head coach early in 2024, spent 3 seasons as the Jags linebackers coach on Gus Bradley's staff from 2014 to 2016. And so Saleh has familiarity with that organization. He has already worked there. He completed his interview on Tuesday. I'm not sure if he wants to go from one bad organization with the Jets to another bad organization in the Jags, but there's only 32 head coaching openings, so Saleh could look at that as an opportunity to still be a head coach in the National Football League. Other head coaching predictions from Dan Graziano. He has Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, going to the Raiders. Tom Brady is putting on a full court press, leading that head coaching search to try to land him. The Saints, Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator. He played with New Orleans with a depleted defense. That Detroit Lions defense has still fared pretty well. And then the Jets, Arthur Smith, the Steelers OC, that would be the most Jets hire ever. So what is your boldest coaching prediction? Let me know down in the comments section. If you got some hot takes, hit me with them right now. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you later right here on the show.